Hi, this is Gary Collins, the creator of the Primal Power Method, and I'm here with my co-host, Heath Squier, CEO of Julian Bakery, and Bill Cortright, an author, speaker, international health guru is what we'll call you. How's that sound, Bill?
Wow, it sounds like a lot to live up to,
Uh,
Gary.
you know, you've been at it for a long time. You've been at it for what, over 3 decades now?
Yes,
As
three
far as
decades.
speaking, teaching.
And owner of EliteFitForever.com.
Yeah,
Um,
and many medical clinics where he
Yes.
practices, and so he's quite a story. And what you're a seven-time bodybuilding champion?
Seven-time bodybuilding champion in my 20s. Yeah.
Wow.
So I always say that in my 20s because that was a long time ago, Gary.
Yeah, that's quite amazing though. For me and Heath, we like the bodybuilding circles, and we consider ourselves pretty much well, amateur, far amateur bodybuilders. But we like, I grew up with Arnold and, Franco Columbu and, Lou Ferrigno. So, I was into it myself, and it's a passion. And, the relationship too, we talk about the relationship between how bodybuilding, even though it gets kind of a bad rap, far as the diet and the principles of the exercises mimic a lot of what paleo and primal is all about when you get down to it. I mean, it's a little different form, but I think it's gotten cheated in the world too far as the paleo primal side, that it's really close.
They are very intelligent. You have to be very intelligent to be a bodybuilder. I went from being the absolute fattest kid in school. In fact, I had lost 100 pounds 3 times.
wow.
And then I lost the weight and went into bodybuilding. And it was all an accident how I stumbled into it. So as I entered bodybuilding, I also entered the medical field. And so it was these two things working together, because how do you take obese genetics, diagnosed with diabetes at age 20, and turn it into a bodybuilding champion? You had to be very scientific. Everything I did is dialed in as it is today. I exercise and I diet according to my physiology. And that's basically what I have built, is this system of testing the individual physiology and to see how it works. How can I get the person in front of me's metabolism working?
And so when you do your testing, are you obviously looking at probably hormones, I'm assuming,
Yes,
and probably
of course.
for deficiencies. Now, how do you go about boosting or adjusting a person's hormones? Obviously, we know we can do it through diet, because by shedding fat, you
Absolutely,
reduce
yes.
estrogen, and you're going to have somewhat of a natural boost of testosterone. Is there anything else you're doing, I guess, naturally to help either men and women to boost testosterone and lower estrogen besides food? Have you found herbs or supplements or?
Well, yes. One of the things is understanding hormones. First, let's start understanding metabolism. I really simplify things in my book. In the stress response diet, I talk about metabolism as simply energy. People get complicated, hear that word metabolism, and they think it's this big event. Really, there is no such thing as a bad metabolism. That's what I've learned. It's either working or it's not working. Now, a working metabolism simply burns fat for energy. That's the definition. So the challenge that we have, and it goes right to your primal works that you guys are doing, is our bodies are built for survival. That's all we're built for. So
Right.
when there's an imbalance in the body stores fuel and we gain weight. The one thing I've learned is there's always a reason that we gain weight. When we look at hormones, and you hear the word hormones, everybody automatically thinks sex hormones. But there are regulatory hormones, metabolic hormones, there are stress hormones, and there are sex hormones. So when we test somebody in our clinics, we look at everything. We are an interesting, and the medical site is elitehealth.com, but we're very interesting because we're not alternative medicine. We're not holistic medicine.
Yeah, I
We're
noticed that.
primary.
Yeah,
We're a primary
I noticed
care.
Yeah.
That's what we do, So when we look at hormones, when you look at men's and women's are very different. Women is about getting their hormones balanced between the 3 estrogens, the progesterones, and the testosterone. With men, it's always about optimal testosterone.
Sure.
And we have to have optimal testosterone, or at the end of the day, we can't recuperate. It doesn't matter if you diet or exercise. If your testosterone levels are low, you won't recuperate. The thing is, when we see somebody with low testosterone, my first question that pops in my head, my whole career it's been this way, is why? Why is this low? And most of the times when they're below 40, and I see a lot of 30-year-olds with low testosterone, it's because of stress and the stress response, because they're not recuperating. As men, we reset our hormones when we sleep at night. If that body is stressed out all day, then what happens is our body doesn't reset. So we'll look at somebody's low hormones and we'll put them on a program, and then we'll remeasure the hormones in 4 to 6 weeks. If they don't come up, then we have to look at hormone replacement. Many, many times when you start managing the stress response, it comes up and they reset themselves.
Yeah, and I'm 38, so in my early 30s, I really started taking melatonin, started focusing in on sleep, and that's when I saw my scores go into the high 700s, which is, optimal, especially if you want to have a six-pack, which was my goal at the time. But my testosterone levels also didn't come up until I shed the fat, which was attributed to my diet.
It's a big deal.
Because I was really over estrogenizing. My liver wasn't filtering out a lot of the excess estrogen, so I focused on sleeping better, cleansing my liver, and losing the fat, and I did that really by adjusting my caloric intake and also eating paleo and watching my caloric intake. But
I would say that about 90% of the men I test in the clinics, and I see usually mid-40s to their 80s. And then we have younger people too, but that's what I'm usually seeing. I would say 90% of them have elevated estrogen.
Oh yeah.
And it is absolutely, and when you I look at total estrogen and what's called estradiol, which is the powerful estrogen that causes problems. That's actually what causes prostate problems. It's not testosterone, it's the estrogen.
Sure.
So why did your estrogen drop? For one thing is you got the body fat down, and that means you got your metabolism working. So one of the major causes of a blocked metabolism is an unmanaged stress response. Now, when people hear the word stress, they always know about the stress hormones, but they don't know about the magic hormone that's involved in the stress response, which is insulin.
Right.
See, when your body gets stressed, it is built for survival. It responds. So those stress hormones rise. As they rise, they do their job. Their job is to get you a fuel so the body can take off.
Sure.
That fuel is sugar.
Yep.
And once that sugar comes up, we have to get it into the engine, so insulin spikes up. So you have the stress hormones, sugar come up, and insulin spikes up, and then it slams down low. That's the response. That response never shuts off. It's up and down all day long. So when it comes to stress, stress isn't good or bad. It's just whether are you managing that response. Now, there is a reverse stress response, and this is where paleo really does come in. If you're not processing carbohydrates, or you're eating the wrong carbohydrates, such as wheat and grains, then you're going to spike sugar and insulin. Guess what insulin causes in the body? Inflammation.
Yeah.
Your natural anti-inflammatory is cortisol. So now the stress response jumped up because you ate a slice of whole wheat bread, and then it slams back down. And every time that happens and it's not managed, then what happens is the metabolism shuts down and you gain fat. That's what shuts down the fat burning. That is what is the stress response.
Yeah, and when we explain paleo as an anti-inflammatory diet, it just starts to make sense. Your stomach flattens out, your body sheds the fat because you're not overproducing insulin, you're not having these spikes, and Gary and I like to call them right carbs. You're consuming vegetables, and you're obviously watching your carbohydrate intake. And we like to practice a moderate fat approach because fat is 9 times the calories. There's a lot of people out there just saying, consume all this extra fat. I actually think, Dr. Cordain kind of had it right when he initially published, a lean meat kind of version of the paleo diet, because it's the only way you're really going to lose weight. You can't consume way too many calories and not store it as fat.
Well, calories matter. I always say, listen, you're never going to overeat if you're balanced, because the body won't let you overeat when it's running right. Would you like me to touch on the latest research that I have on fat?
Please, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
real quick.
Very interesting. Have you guys ever heard of the ApoE, Apple lipoprotein E, APO letter E? It's the 19th chromosome of your genetics. We test it in the clinics. And what it will determine is how well you have toxic clearance and your body handles fats.
Awesome.
So I think the paleo diet is perfect for probably 80% of the population.
Yeah.
But then there's probably 10, 15 it may not work for unless you're going more low fat, Heath.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I will tell you that there's actually 5% of the population it could be bad for. And let me explain to you why.
You're talking the
When we look-
Hashimoto's people and
Well,
people
no,
like
that's thyroid. This is a little bit different.
Okay.
This is for people that they could be skinny as a rail and their cholesterol is absolutely out of control. This is called the Alzheimer's gene. And the reason it's called the Alzheimer's gene is you're going to get a variation of this gene, this ApoE gene. You're either a 2, a 3, or a 4. Now, I happen to be a 2-3, where one parent had a 3 and one parent had a 2. That means that I have very good toxic clearance, and I can eat a slab of butter and my body doesn't care.
Right.
I don't have cholesterol problems. Now, I could have a spoonful of white rice and my body will go crazy, but the fats are not the problem. 60% of the population, Heath, are right where you're talking about. They're called 3-3, 60%. That means they're more of a Mediterranean type diet. They have to have the healthy fats, not so much on the saturated fats. But the ones with the 2 genetics are the ones that do good on Atkins. There's a reason that some people do good on Atkins.
Right.
But then there's those rare 4s. And these 4s, we can't even give them a fish oil supplement. They can't process fats.
Huh.
They have to be on a rather very, very low-fat diet. And they always have trouble with inflammation. And the reason is they can't get rid of toxins. If they over-exercise, they'll get heart disease because they can't get rid of lactic acid. And so we see these in our clinic a lot because formerly Elite Health was a cardiology clinic. And so the reason we see so many of these patients is because their doctors are sending them to us because they can't control the cholesterol. Sometimes they have to be on triple dosages of statins, and here's why. When you have that 4-4 genetic, and the reason it's called an Alzheimer's gene is, the theory behind it is that the brain cannot uptake the cholesterol. And our brain needs about 30% of our body's cholesterol to function. So what happens is the body keeps overproducing cholesterol more and more. And some of these people are skinny and in shape and they work out. It's a genetic factor. Those people would have a little bit more trouble with a Mediterranean, any type. We can't give them fish oil supplements. We can't give them even that. We have to be so careful. In fact, the right diet for them, they can't even take in pro-inflammatory proteins. So they can't eat chicken, they can't eat meat. So they are more of a pescatarian type diet that we have to work with.
Are these people then, is this wired in their genome or is this a
Yes.
gene expression?
Yes.
So it's hardwired.
Absolutely in their genetics.
Okay, that's why I was curious.
So
It was
you'll
gene
hear
expression.
people-
There's no reversing it. There's nothing
There's
you
no
can do.
reversing it, only managing it. Like genetics, like I have terrible genetics. My whole family dies of strokes and diabetes and obesity. Your genetics are controlled by your habits. And so they're like a light switch. You either turn them on or turn them off. Your habits keep those genetics turned off.
I have an interesting question for you. Have you ever seen a person maybe be 60 to 80 pounds overweight and not sleeping very good and have a score, a testosterone score in the 700s?
Yes, I've seen it, but it's very rare.
Okay.
That means that they probably have genetic heritage that lived to be 90 years old and they smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day. It's very, very rare. You know, if they're not sleeping right and they're over age 45, in my book, I talk about cycles of health. And 45 to 55 starts the 3rd cycle of health. And the game changes dramatically because the hormones will start to change in that cycle. And remember, anything that imbalances the body, the metabolism will shut down. So exercise. What's the right exercise? Exercise that your body can recuperate from, because exercise is stress, and it affects the stress response.
I think a lot of people over-exercise. They end up getting a tremendous amount of inflammation, and then they're not taking, fish oils and so forth to combat the inflammation, and then they never end up getting any results. It's these people that you see year after year never get results.
It's my age group, it's really dramatic because here's my latest research. Why did I rewrite the book? because please don't go buy the old book. I took it off Amazon and everything else. The new book is coming out. Go to my website, billcortright.com, and get the new book, please.
Awesome.
It's funny, I'm lecturing, I hold up my book, I say, don't buy this. Because it has changed because of the research I've done. It's been amazing, the research I've done, because I've taken 5,000 patients over the last 5 years, and I have done their hormones and stress response and measured them. And then creating programs around to get them well. Well, the big change starts at 45, and once you hit 50, what happens is, the biggest thing that happens is the body doesn't handle stress the same way anymore. Plus, the physiology will change the way it processes sugar. Sure. So this is a double-edged sword, especially in women. After menopause, 9 out of 10 women, their whole physiology changes the way it processes carbohydrates. So women gain weight after menopause, not because their hormones change. It's actually because their physiology changed the way it processes foods. So we talk about the stress response, and this is very important, Heath, in exercise. You have in your nervous system 2 parts of the nervous system. The sympathetic, I call it the red zone, and the parasympathetic, which is the green zone. When we're stressed, the red zone turns on. When this happens, all digestion shuts down. The immune system shuts down. Reproductive hormones shut down, low testosterone and everything. And the body is in a constant fight or flight state. Now, here's the big thing. It shuts down the green zone, and the green zone is actually where we have discipline, creativity. That's where we actually have wellness, health, and vibrant. That's where we're vibrant. Once we hit their 50s, people get stuck in the red zone. And so what happens is, when you get stuck in that, then that's why the blood pressures go crazy and the cholesterols go crazy and the body changes so dramatically. And you have to manage the stress response. The first line of defense to manage the stress response is diet. What you don't eat, what you do eat, the times you eat, everything you're teaching, Gary, is absolutely on. That's why people get such dramatic changes with the diet, because it's managing that response. The second is exercise. One of the things, if you go to EliteFitForever.com, you could take a metabolic evaluator I created. It's not the most scientific thing in the world. It's not like if I'm testing you, but it will tell you if you're a lion or a cheetah. Now, I have a lion metabolism. That means I burn fat while I walk. If I run, I gain weight. It's the way my nervous system handles stress. Now, when we test the cheetah, if they walk, nothing happens. They're the type that have to do more interval training, more intense training. You can take exercise and take away the hocus pocus and actually make it scientific by measuring how does this body handle stress. So the second key for managing, stress is your exercise. And then number 3, that's the mindfulness training. That's where meditation comes in, journaling comes in, tapping comes in, all these things that we hear about. But I just did a lecture at Life Extension, and I told them, you can sit on the mountains and meditate till the cows come home. If you're not managing the stress response in your body with the right diet, you can't do well. It's impossible.
Well, and I think that's really important, talking about the stressors, because you're right. When you talk about stress, everyone thinks of everyday stress, and they don't think of all stress that you're putting on your body as far as exercise, diet. Then the outside stresses come in, and that's considered part of epigenetics and some of the other parts. But yeah, I think that's very important for people to understand. I try and preach that as much as I can about, the diet. If you don't change your diet first and you change everything else around it, you're fighting an uphill battle, because the diet allows you to manage that outside stress too, because your cognitive function will improve, your ability to make better decisions, your ability to deal with stress. And people don't believe me at first, and they come to me, some have, and they're a wreck. They can't deal with anything. They hate their husband, they hate their dog, wife, friend, everything is drama. Everything's overblown. And I get them to change their diet, and they notice that everything just kind of smooths out.
And I go, in that red zone, Gary. They get stuck in that red zone, and that's a reactive zone. It's in the green zone where you can respond. Here's the best example of red zone, green zone. When you take a shower, you get your best ideas. Because when the water hits the body, then automatically the nervous system switches over to the green zone. That's why you get such good ideas in the shower. That's why people are inspired when they take a shower. I think we should put showers in the workplace. I don't know. But that's where people really get inspired. But you can't shut stress off, Gary. So you're right. Without the right diet, it's impossible. It is. I'm going to tell you, I've been measuring this since 1984. I've been looking at blood work, metabolic card testing. Now I'm looking at genetics. I work with stem cells since 2006 in Panama. Without the right diet, it comes down to diet. And then it comes down to the right exercise. Then it comes down to learning how to meditate and learning how to quiet the mind a little bit. It's really, people got it quite backwards.
Yeah, and it takes time. And that's another thing, People want to rush everything today.
Yep.
Tell us, you've lost 100 pounds 3 times. You said in your journey of shedding all your fat, because you don't have any fat based on the pictures I saw.
Thank you. Not bad for a 53-year-old guy.
No,
you look great. No, that's
anybody that wants to see his pictures, I think they're on Twitter. So we'll provide a link. But tell us, what have you found has been the most effective way to shed the fat? Because personally, myself, I like to do a little intermittent fasting. I really like to take in less calories and burn more calories by working out. And obviously I follow a paleo, like a low-calorie paleo diet when I really want to get super lean. And then I'll add in the healthy fats after I've achieved that look that I want. How about, what have you found has been the best way, the quickest way to lose the weight? Because that's a huge accomplishment. 100 pounds is insane.
Yeah,
it is. I always tell people my accomplishment, though, is never that I lost the weight, that I've kept it off for 33 years. That's my real accomplishment, because I've had to change things as I age. That's one thing. Now, I will tell you, the reason I teamed with my partners are Dr. Steven Schnur and Dr. Perry Kritschmeyer of Elite Health. And I teamed with them back in 2010 at Elite Health because they gave me the whole medical clinic like a lab. I could do anything I wanted. And what they wanted was a quick weight loss program. And I just don't believe in quick weight loss. I just don't believe it. But what happened was I have to compete. And so my original book, it would take you about 12 weeks to reset the metabolism. So Heath, to answer your question, I now can reset a metabolism in 30 days, and I take 70 and 80-year-olds and drop 15 to 20 pounds off them. More importantly, I get them off medication and change their labs in this short period because I created a diet and a system that resets the metabolism. Remember, a working metabolism burns fat. So this is going to answer your question. So in this system, I call it Boost. If you go to Elite Fit Forever, it's called Boost. Now, before I go into it, let me quantify. This diet does not work. In other words, you can boost, lose 15 to 20 pounds. If you don't transition into a lifestyle, you're going to gain back 15 or 20 pounds. I wish I had a magic pill that I could tell, hey, here's my pill, take my pill, and let's all keep our weight off. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. But this reset, this will accomplish what Gary's looking for. It gives them energy. They start to feel better after 4 days. And the reason is because I'm resetting 4 distinct hormones. So the first week of Boost is the first 4 days is like a protein fast. They don't even have a vegetable the first 4 days because I'm shutting off the hormone insulin. Got to shut off insulin first.
Sure.
Because you can't burn fat if insulin is over 10. And most people we test, it might be in the teens, the 20s, you can't. So the first week, we reset insulin. Now, the diet is very, very, very low fat in this first week. And it's very, very low fat in the second week because I'm resetting the hormone leptin. Now, that's the second hormone. Leptin is the hormone that communicates from our fat cell to our brain to tell the body to burn fat. Our body is built for survival. Our survival fuel is fat. So you've got to give the body the signal to burn fat or it's not going to let it go.
Yep.
But then the third week, I'm sorry.
You're doing that by putting your body into starvation mode, basically.
Yes.
Calories.
Yes, that, and I'm not putting any fats in. No oils, no meats.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And they're going to feel amazing. It's going to stink initially.
Just resetting them. But here's the key, what I found. And, man, I failed a lot before I found this. In the third week, I had to add all the fats back in. If I don't add the fats back in the third week, guess what? They all stop losing weight. Sure. And the reason is because, you can fool leptin for a while, but that third week, why you add the healthy fats in, you're resetting the hormone cortisol. That's what helps. Remember, cortisol is an inflammation hormone. So if you're eating low fat, the body will start to break down itself. And so when you put those fats in, it doesn't happen. And then the 4th week, we keep the diet, vegetables, proteins, healthy fats, and then we add fruit back in, and we're resetting the hormone adiponectin. And that's the hormone that helps the body to actually process the carbohydrates. In that 30-day reset, you see miracles happen. I can't wait to take it to the public. I'm just getting ready to take this to the public next year. I've been putting it, as of March, I've been putting it in other medical clinics just to see, it's been amazing. But it's very good for paleo because it's basically resetting them into a paleo diet. And then they transition into whether they're a lion, cheetah, and we start transitioning them into a lifestyle program.
Yeah, and it takes a while, and that's what I love about you, Bill, is you're a straight shooter. There's a lot of people out there who just like to sell you whatever, tell you whatever you want to hear, give you a 21-day sugar detox that is complete BS, and we all know it is. Yeah, I mean, sugar is an addictive drug. We've proven that, but it sounds great in theory, and you see the people who believe in that, and they look like it failed anyway. But, it's one of those things to where it's steps, it's stages. And I always preach, and Heath does too, that things change. As you age, it's going to be different. What I'm doing today, 5 years from now, is going to be different. I guarantee it. And you have to adapt as you go. And I think that's why you see people in the gym who never, you see them I've seen people that have worked out in the same gym for 5 years and they look identical.
They're
overweight.
Or worse.
Or worse.
Yeah, and they put a lot of time in.
Yeah, they don't adapt.
A lot of time in.
Yeah, a lot of people just work out so they can eat whatever they want. But I think no matter what age you are, it's always, you always have to ditch the sugar, and you have to become a way of life.
Poison. It is absolute poison. And then the case like in wheat belly, I thought Dr. Davies did a very good job because I'm telling people I eat no grains. I eat no fruit. Fruit for me doesn't work. But I'm a diabetic. Does that mean it's right for everybody? No, it doesn't mean it's right for everybody.
I don't go on fruit either, Bill, to be honest with you. I mean, I eat a little bit.
I can't process it. I don't feel good on it.
Yeah, I don't feel good either. I'm the same way.
But that doesn't mean that that's right for everybody. That's why even stress response diet, I tell people, listen, if you're not getting results, go get tested because there's a reason you're not getting results. Like I said, for almost 80% of the population, I would say paleo's got to be right for them. It's sugar that is poisonous. And the reason sugar is poisonous is because it disrupts that stress response. It stresses our body out and shuts down our metabolism. So it affects everything from our metabolism to our brain function, to our hormones, to our recuperation, everything.
Well, today it's a combination. I think the two biggies that I preach to people are sugar and caffeine. Because when you put those two together and you eat a high sugar diet and you overdose on caffeine, you're double whammy. I mean, you're shooting your cortisol levels just out astronomical, and that's where you get, adrenal fatigue, and they can't figure it out. And I've worked with people, and it's amazing. I pull them off the coffee and the caffeine, and I've noticed that coffee's an interesting as far as liquid, how it works. When you extract the caffeine out of coffee and you put it into something else like a green tea, it reacts totally different. So I tell people you got to find what works for you too. Some people don't do well on green tea, but they do great on coffee. Some people it's the opposite. Some people do well on the seltzer waters that have the caffeine and ginseng in it. And I went, you got to be careful with caffeine because we're all very sensitive to it. Everyone thinks that, I was built for caffeine. No, you're not. You're not built for it. It's something that you have to learn what you can tolerate. And for me, it's 200 milligrams. Once I get over 200
so you know exactly. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I know once I get over that number, I'm shot. It's going to screw me up the next day. Yep, and the next day I'm totally shot. Yeah.
If somebody asks me, what is, Bill, what's your answer to, what's the secret to wellness, to permanent weight loss, to burning fat and being well? The secret is recuperation. Every single day, your body either repairs or it breaks down. There's no gray area. We actually measure this in the clinics. We can measure how that body is recuperating. And so when you can see that and then you create the program around the testing and you can see and increase the recuperation, that's the key of reversing diabetes in a 70-year-old. If every day I can get their body to repair and repair and repair, that leads you to wellness. If every day you're breaking and breaking and breaking, that's what leads you to disease. There is no way anybody taking in, if they're, I'm gonna quantify my age group because I'm old. So let's go into the 50 and older. If you are eating bread still in your 50s, I can almost guarantee you can't be well. I've tested thousands of patients in my career. You just can't be well if you're eating those because the body just can't handle it. They can't.
No, well, that's a great point, the stress, because, or the recuperation and stress, how they go together. Because have you done research on that, far as the stress and the recuperation, far as Alzheimer's and the oxidative levels, far as how the fats are so fragile inside the brain that if you don't have enough antioxidants in the repair cycle that you're getting in, that actually that's where brain dysfunction comes from, because the fats become rancid within the brain, and that's where they're starting to find that all these brain kind of deficiencies are occurring from, dementia, Alzheimer's, even like schizophrenia, depression, anxiety. They're all starting to tie this in to basically too many free radicals.
Too many free radicals. And what's happening is fats are so important. My last couple years, I've kind of switched my course. I've gone backwards a little bit because I had to rewrite the stress response. I had to rewrite this book because it's in 2 universities here, and I travel the world lecturing to companies on stress, and I had to rewrite the book. But actually, my research has got me a couple years down the road. I've been looking at the nervous system and the brain and really understanding how fats go into the brain. And that's where I came up with the ApoE. When I started studying the Alzheimer's gene, I was like, wow, that's, most Alzheimer's patients have this particular gene. But you don't have to have that gene to have fats not working in your body. If your metabolism is not using fat for energy, then the fats aren't working in your body. How will you know? You'll be overweight. If you're overweight, there's a reason you're overweight.
And we get in battles with some of the low carb / sort of paleo ancestral health people that are, to be honest, very overweight. And I would say some of this group is obese, and they're trying to tell everyone, oh, I'm healthy. Look at my blood markers and look at this. And I'm all, you are full of crap. Because in nature, if you're fat, you're slow, you're going to be eaten quickly, or they're going to kill you because you're slowing the tribe down to get away from predators or to go battle other tribes. They're going to use you as bait. And I just trying to argue this with them. They just go, it doesn't matter. My blood markers are good, so I'm healthy.
I'll tell you, if you're fat, then if you have excess fat in your body, and I tell every single person, every male can get down to 10% body fat. Now, when you want to go below 10%, okay, we got some work to do. Because the body obviously doesn't want it, but every male can get down to 10% body fat. I don't care how old you are. It's simply resetting the metabolism and then creating a lifestyle that allows your body to use fat for energy. It's when we have that imbalance. If they have excess fat, the body's imbalanced. It's really, that's why I'm the same way, Gary. It's like I go on stage and I look the way I look, not because I'm all disciplined and all this. No, I am balanced. And I'm very good at teaching this because being a diabetic with obese genetics and having this weight off for so many years, I could gain the weight back in 30 days.
Oh, yeah.
In fact,
really quick.
My wife, I've been newly married this last year. Okay, applause. And my wife didn't believe me because she hasn't known me that long. She's only known me for about the last 3 or 4 years. And I said, okay, I'll do an experiment for you. I'm going to eat anything I want for 3 days. And I did it last year. And I gained 12 pounds in 3 days. Here's the worst part. It took me almost 5 weeks to lose it. Yeah. So it wasn't like, oh, you gained it. It was just water weight. Obviously, I screwed up. I won't do that again. No more experiments because I felt so bad and I couldn't get it to reset,
No, I did that for a bachelor party, and I gained 8 pounds. And recently, I did it again, not on purpose, but we did a show earlier. Remember, Heath, we were talking. I said, I came in, I went, I don't know if I'm getting sick or I don't know. And I went to a basketball game the night before, and I drank a couple beers and ate a bag of pig skins with my friend, deep fried pig skins. And the next day, both ears were plugged. My nose was plugged, and I got on the scale that morning at the gym. I'd gained 5
Yeah, because people don't realize our bodies are sensitive, and as we get older, it gets harder. Like my training is I'm very famous because I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I train at 3:30 in the morning, and I've been doing it for 30 years. Now I started doing that because I'm so busy. I never miss a workout. I have never missed a workout. You know, I don't miss workouts. I just don't.
I don't either. I don't.
And so because without them, I'm not right. And I will tell you, I've been, through obesity, and I've been through bodybuilding, and I had an accident back in 1985 where I broke my back. I have a spinal fusion. But the hardest thing that happened to me with exercise was turning 50. It took me like a year to figure out, okay, I'm not recuperating the same way, to change my days, move things around, because now I got it down perfect. And I'll tell you, it took me a good 6 months to figure out a new pattern. Now, I have a very distinct training philosophy for my body. But my cardio, you ready for my aerobic zone? It's between 100 and 115. That's my walking zone to burn fat.
That low?
So that is tested with my metabolic cart VO2, the most advanced testing, because I'm a lion. I burn fat when I walk. So, but when I train resistance, I don't worry about it because I train supersets. I train my heart rate, it's 160, 170, but that's a different animal because I'm training there for my heart, my lungs, my muscles.
Yeah.
So that's the thing when I see people and they think that the only way they can get in shape is to bleed, sweat, and kill themselves. And those are the people you'll see running triathlons and doing marathons and they're obese. Yeah. You got to ask yourself, how do you run 26 miles because you're obese? Because you're exercising wrong for your physiology.
Yeah, and improper diet, because those are all carb loaders, grain eaters.
Ties together.
Yeah.
Everything ties. There's not one more important than the other.
Well, and people always ask us for exercise tips because I'm like you. Me and Heath were athletes, and we've been exercising a long time. And I tell people there's really no magic formula for me. I just try and balance things. You know, I'll do strength training, but I have endurance training, and I have some HIIT training. But it's all mixed in. It's all variable. And it depends how I feel. You know, if I feel good, I'll go out and I'll do a long day of endurance because that's where I do my best thinking. I don't think in the shower. I'm in there like 2 minutes and I'm out. But, you know, I go, and when I go for my long bike rides or long hikes, that's where my mind, everything starts.
You're putting yourself in the green zone there, too.
I'm putting myself in a green zone.
Endorphins, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it really is the nervous system. Honestly, it's because you're stimulating that. That's what I've been studying the last couple of years. You're stimulating that part of the nervous system because you're managing that red zone, that stress zone, and you're in what's called the green zone. On my website, I have a free ebook that they can get that kind of explains this because I have books ready, but I'm not going to publish them till so to the end of next year. I'm not publishing. I will send you a copy though, Gary.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Because I wanted to go back and really get people right on the stress response. But you're stimulating that prefrontal cortex and that parasympathetic nervous system, and that is from managing stress. Now I'm very similar, but I manage everything off my heart rate. Like my intensity in my workout will be determined by how my heart is doing that day. If I see my heart rate low, I will pick up the intensity in my training. I will cut down my rest periods, and I will be moving. And I always keep my repetitions between 6 and 8 reps. That's me, okay? Because I want my IGF-1, my growth hormone, to be high. So I train intense. There's not many 20-year-olds who can keep up with me in the gym, you know. But let's say I'm traveling a lot, you know, and my heart rate is running high. I automatically slow the workout down then. I automatically slow it down. I'll be lazy. You'll see me. Yeah. So everything I quantify everything I do. I measure what I eat. I measure how much water I drink. I measure my zones. I watch my resistance. I quantify. I believe in really quantifying every aspect of my health because it's the only way I can measure things. And it's the only way I've been able to become the expert that I've become is because I measure everything and I log everything down. So I'm an avid writer on and recording every day what's going on in my body.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, I like that. And that's what we preach too is the variability because I'm different in the sense that I don't write anything down. I don't measure anything. I literally just go purely by feel. And I let how I feel determine everything. My workout for the day, whether even workloads. Like if, you know, I have a busy day, but I'm just don't have it. Far as, you know, I'll tune stuff out work-wise that I go because I'm not going to give it 100%. I need to take a 4-hour break off, kind of regenerate a little bit. And that's how I do it. And to say, is it right? No, it's different things for
But it's
different
you,
people.
Gary. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing's right or wrong.
That's how he's managing his stress, though. Is he's he's keeping in the green zone.
You're in tune.
Yeah.
Your body will talk to you when we crave. You know when you're managing stress, because 4 things happen when you manage the stress response. You sleep well, you have very high energy levels, you think very clearly, and you don't crave carbohydrates. That's why I tell people I never crave it. So they can have all the holiday parties they want. They can load our clinic with all these desserts, and people go, "Oh, you're so disciplined." How much discipline does it take when you don't want something? I just walk away. I don't want it. And
I'd rather have
because
bacon.
you're managed in that.
Well, see, and I'm the opposite, though. I have a sweet tooth, and I've always had it no matter what I eat. It's better now, obviously. But you stick a piece of pie in front of me, I'm going to eat it. And, so I use the philosophy of just keep it away from me.
Keep it away from you, huh?
Yeah, stay away.
I don't want it.
And I'm one of those guys, I'm an all or nothing guy in a lot of things. It's not just what I eat. I'm either all in or I'm out.
But Gary will go on and burn off those calories to compensate.
Yeah, I won't sit around. Yeah, I'll go out and crush it. One
of my greatest secrets is I cheat. There are 5 links that I live by, and that's like when you finish the boost reset, you go into what I call biomax, maxing out your biology, and there's 5 links. The right diet is link 1, meals. Link 2 is hydration, drinking the water. Link 3 is aerobic exercise, circulation. Link 4 is resistance training, lead body mass. But link 5 is called junk night, cheating. I've been cheating for 30 years. If you're going to tell me, I'm a huge Green Bay Packer fan, and we're not going to talk about football.
I'm going to talk about yesterday?
We're not talking about football today. That's it, just today. And if you're going to tell me I'm from Wisconsin, I'm Italian, I can never have a pizza and beer again, it's just not real. So I will tell you 6 days a week I eat to recuperate. The 7th day is mine. And I've been cheating for 30 years. Now, as I get into my 50s, my cheat days have changed a lot because I can't handle the sugar. So it would be something that I want that day, but it's very limited than it was in the past. And in the past, it was like, look out, but not anymore.
Yeah, well, and I used to do the same thing. I used to have full cheat days. Now I just have a cheat meal once.
That's what I'm doing too.
Yeah.
I'm old. You're not old yet, Gary. You're fine.
I'm getting there. It's coming around the corner. But, I noticed like you, the cheat days would turn into just gluttony gorging days. Though.
Yep.
I would just eat myself silly.
Yep.
And I'd feel so bad. I usually did them on either Saturdays or Sundays. And I would feel so bad the next day that I was like, and not just mentally for what I did, it was just physically, that I noticed that the cheat meal is much better. And not only that, but I noticed that my cheat days evolved as well, as they got cleaner and cleaner. Yep. And then my cheat meal got cleaner and cleaner because I just didn't desire those foods anymore. And my cheats were never bad. It was like a carne asada burrito or, an In-N-Out burger. It wasn't like I was going to McDonald's or something. Right? Yeah, I wasn't eating 3 Big Macs or something, some garbage that,
Well, here's the secret to Heath. Like Heath said, what I do is my cheat days are on Saturday. So my hardest workout is my leg day on Saturdays. It's massive. I'm in the gym. And then Sunday mornings before I eat breakfast, I will go for a walk in my zone. And when I do that, it just kind of resets everything for me. So I never have that problem the day after.
That's a very good point. And I've told many a client this. If you're going to cheat, you better exercise that day. Don't sit on your butt and just stuff yourself silly. That is the day you have to work out. Right. And they look at me and they go, no one's ever told me that's a cheat day. And I go, because they don't teach you that because, no one gets it. They think that it's just a day of laziness and you just lay around with, marshmallows in your belly button or whatever.
Kind of
I mean?
Kind of the opposite.
We get that vision.
Out of my mind.
You're like, no. Yeah, because they do. And I used to envision, I would look at my cheat days of laying on the couch, belly distended, Cheetos spread everywhere. And I think that's the vision people get and it's not. It's more of a controlled chaos. It's going to be a bad day, but you better go out there.
You can celebrate Thanksgiving. You can celebrate the holidays. You can celebrate the weekends. It's living within a system. That's why if you look at my program, I always tell people it's a system. I have a lot of people in my program that does paleo. You know, I have some that are vegetarians. I have some that are pescatarians. I have some. It's really finding what works for you. As long as it's managing that stress response, it's a fine diet. And I measure so many variables that I know if it's managed or it's not managed. You know, you'll just know it. And so, yeah, you've got to live a lifestyle, and we have to eat to perform. That's what I tell people. I eat to perform. I have professional athletes that come to me, not because I'm going to train them, it's because our program is built around recuperation. So if I can take an athlete and increase recuperation, I just increase performance. Well, if I can take that CEO and increase performance, you know, then I increase their bottom line. And so that's kind of the way I look at it.
I'm very curious, since you work with a lot of 70, 80, 90-year-old men, and probably women too, but how is it true for all, as we all get older, our testosterone declines, right? I mean, that's part of the natural physiology. Is there any way to continue to keep the testosterone high without going synthetic as we get into, like, 50, 60, 70, 80? I mean, or is there nothing you can do? Do you have to go the synthetic route at a certain point?
Well, let's talk about it, because I'll tell you, I've been looking at men's hormones for just about 20 years now. So I've been around before the anti-aging crusade started and everything. And so I will tell you this. Every single male's hormones, testosterone hormones, are going to drop. Every one of us. And the challenge that we have as men is we don't have the window. Women have a very specific window that most women's hormones are going to change. In men, it could be, I've seen it in the early 30s, and I've seen it in the late 80s. So with that being said, it's just that the connection for the way the body makes testosterone starts to sever. So the connection from the hormones from the brain to the testes just sever with age. I don't know why, but it will come to a point where we always try to do lifestyle first. We don't care how old they are, because a lot of times we get it to bound up. But sooner or later, now, we don't want to use synthetic testosterone. You want to use bioidentical.
There you go.
You want to
Yeah,
use what our body makes. Now, so you want to use bioidentical. And the thing is, with hormone replacement, it's an art, and most doctors don't know how to do it. Because when you do hormone replacement, you're very right. You don't want your hormones high either. You want it between 500 and 800. That's what you're looking for. That's kind of the numbers that you're looking for in my age group. Maybe you want them a little bit higher. Like if you were 38, I would want them around 800, maybe 900. Now, the thing with growth hormone is the interesting thing. Where our bodies will sever the ability to make testosterone, it will never sever the ability to make growth hormone. Nobody needs to take growth hormone. I could take an 80-year-old. All they have to do is exercise a little bit. That's why exercising, we hear that as you get older, your weight training, you should do higher reps, less weight. That's not true. You should be pushing your body to the point where the body will produce the growth hormone that's needed. So we can increase what's called the IGF-1 as we measure that, and we can increase that in 70, 80-year-olds, because we do it all the time without ever giving them. In fact, I probably have 100,000 patients in my career, and we've probably supplemented growth hormone maybe 5 times. I mean, that they had problems. It's really, really rare that you need to do that in a healthy individual. But testosterone, nope. After a while, there will be just a point in your life. It just, no matter what you try, and we do try, you try. I got a great supplement called Men's Hormone Support. It's a supplement. I craft all my supplements myself, and I created it, and people ask me, how do you know it works? Because I've seen it boost testosterone 300, 400 points in 30 days. Now, is it magic? No, it's not magic, because it doesn't work without the diet and exercise.
Well, that's something that's great, too, is you're actually looking at the numbers. There's so many
I don't guess.
Pumping out these vitamins, and they're not actually looking at the numbers. And how are you going to know if it really works?
Yes.
And testosterone tests are so cheap, so it's such a great way. Anytime I've ever tried natural supplement, I've always I always did blood work before, and then like 3 months afterwards, I'll do like a 3-month set of that vitamin, see if it really works. Otherwise, it's just money down the drain.
That's being a scientist, Heath, and I like I said, I believe in quantifying everything I do. I test everything,
Yeah.
in looking at, I'm trying to build medicine and change the paradigm, the way we practice medicine, because I want people to go to the doctor to stay well. It's a whole different philosophy that we are trying to preach in our clinics. We want you to come. We have 30,000 patients in South Florida. We are a big practice, you know, and we try to get people to understand we want you to come to us, you know, 2 to 3 times a year to stay well, not because you're sick. And if I can change that paradigm of thinking in the medical field, then your guys' job will get a lot easier. And the other piece is our clinics have dietitians working there. The dietetics world, the poor dietetics world, because they put people on diets without testing. And I know, Gary, I know your background because I'm researching how much testing you've done and how much you know. And people go to these dietitians, and it's not their fault because they're not taught this in school. They're not taught how to read blood work or metabolic heart testing or genetic testing, or they're just not taught. How can you put somebody on a diet if you don't know how their body processes foods or their body recuperates or their body handles stress? Because it's diet that manages those factors. Yeah. And so that's what I'm trying to bring to the medical field now.
Well, then there's the flip side. Then there's the holistic practitioners who send you through that $5,000 blood test.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because
you know, and that's
out there watching Paleo or watching this show, please trust me. If you walk into a practitioner and they want to put you on testosterone in your first visit, run. Because here's the key. If you're over 40 years of age and you take testosterone, what's going to happen is you're going to have to take that the rest of your life because you're going to shut down your production. You cannot just go on it and then say, oh, I'm going to get my hormones off and then come off it. You can't do steroids and do a steroid cycle because it doesn't work. And so these clinics make their money off hormones. We don't. We look at hormones as a medical test, medical treatment. And so when we replace testosterone, it's because you medically need it, not because you're going to pay $5,000 a month. And those clinics really get to me a little bit, because they're putting 20-year-olds on testosterone and everything else. And do I test 20-year-olds with low testosterone? Yes, I do, because they have too much stress. It's their lifestyle. You change their lifestyle, the hormones will come up in 30 days. And that,
yeah. So. That makes a lot of sense. Now, do you guys do any online coaching or, like you said you had physical locations, but is there an online component to what you're doing?
Yes, we are. We do it when you go to Elite Fit Forever, we're getting ready to revamp everything. As I was telling you, I'm taking this to the public starting next year. And they can go into our programs and they can work with one of our program directors and that. Now, we can't do legally medicine there, but we can counsel you to go to your doctors and everything else. We can do counseling. We can't do treatments and, things like that. It's illegal, so we can't do it that way. But what we can do is we can guide people, especially guide them to their doctors and everything else in that, One of the tests, blood work is something everybody can do with life extension and all these different things. You can get blood tests rather inexpensive. You can even talk to your doctors. Doctors are becoming more and more pro-wellness, especially where you guys are from on the West Coast. Much different than like in Wisconsin where I'm from and everything else. It's difficult because the doctors are kind of still living in a cave, and so yes, we can do that for you. Just contact us, and then what we do is we can get you set up. In the programs, we are doing the programs online now. We have started to do it online.
That's great. Yeah, I think you have a great program. Well, we want to thank you so much for coming on the show. We'd love to have you back after you get everything launched next year. So the name of the new book, let us know. Tell everybody when it's coming out and then the name of it to search for on Amazon.
So it's going to be, if you go to, I'm actually giving a pre-launch gift for it. So if you go to my website, it's www.billcortright.com. BILLCORTRIGHT.com. And so if you order the book there, it's called The New Stress Response Diet. So I put the word new in it. And it really is revamped. Anybody who has the old book, and a lot of you do out there, this is really revamped with the new research that I have. I'm also, when you pre-order it, I'm giving away my Living in a Green Zone CDs. And this is the research I'm talking about that I've been doing on the brain and the nervous system. And it tells you a little bit about what it takes to live in that green zone with body and mind. and that. So that's free. They're free MP3 downloads when you pre-order the book. So the book is there. I believe it's already, I'm not sure if it's on Amazon yet for the pre-sales for that, but you can go get it at the website there. If you're interested in Boost, which is perfect for Paleo, I am running a holiday special, and it's usually, I think, $350 for a month of the whole program. Includes everything you need in the program. I think it's $295 if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, you get it for $295. I can just hear my partners right now just falling over dying. And you just go to, you know what part of the business I don't handle, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Right.
that's at Elite Fit Forever. It's www.elitefitforever.com. And you just go in there, and if you order Boost, and then you just put in the code HOLIDAY. Just put the code in HOLIDAY, and then you guys can get the pro. And that's a 30-day program that will reset your metabolism. It's great for those that are on paleo that kind of cheated on the holidays, and you can reset your body in 30 days and then just go right back on your other diet. You know what I mean? So that's a great reset. When you guys were bringing me on, I thought, that's perfect.
Yeah, timing. Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, we'll get this up so a lot of people see it. We'll plaster it everywhere. I think what you're doing is great, and you're a person that truly practices what they preach, and it's hard to find that because there's so many overweight trainers and dietitians, and they're so unhealthy. I go to these health food expos all the time. It's so sad to see all these unhealthy people, and it's great to have somebody like yourself out there and actually doing work based on actually blood work, not just guessing. And I think you put together a really great program. So thanks so much.
Same with you, Gary. I've researched you a lot. You've done some fantastic work, and I just think that you're going to get bigger and bigger. And you got a good partner over there in Heath, and because I follow you on Twitter,
he's okay.
So I follow him over there. I say, hey, I see him. And you guys, I tell you what, it's been an absolute distinct privilege. If you guys ever need anything from me, you let me know. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Right.
No, and being a former Navy guy, Bill, you're already in my circle. So
that's it. Yeah, the Navy. Yeah, that was a good place. I grew up there. I grew up there very quickly.
Yeah, I did too.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you guys
so much.
very, very much. I appreciate it.